7 o'clock in the evening, watching something stupid on TV. I'm so fucking bored. My wife comes in the room and sees me, and she says, use a bridge. And I say, eat, do, and do. I say it's getting late, what you wanna do for dinner? She says I kinda had a big clock, so I'm not Superman. I said, well, you know, baby, I'm not starving either, but I could eat. She said, so what do you have in mind? I said, I don't know, what about you? She says, I don't care if you're hungry, let's eat. I said, that's a fucking great idea, but first you gotta tell me what it is you're hungry for. And she says, let me think, what's left in our refrigerator? I said, well, that went bad a week ago. I said, it's that you finished that yesterday. I'm locked on a drive-through. My cell phone started to ring. Now who could be calling me? It was just Larry, my dealer, calling for the third time today. My wife said, let it go, let it go. Okay, where were we? Oh, right, so what do you want to do? She says, why don't you wake up in the kitchen? Yeah, I said, why don't you? And then she says, baby, can't we just go out to dinner, please? Yes. I says, no. She says, yes. I says, no. She says, yes. I says, no. She says, yes. Oh, here's your keys. I step a little bit closer. She says, how about KY? I said, yeah, well, it's my ass. She says, just forget about it. I said, no, I swear I'm gonna take you out. We're going to the drive-thru. Get in those car doors right now. Ignition, sideways, seatbelts, then we drive to the, heading off to the, we're approaching the, getting close to the, almost there at the, now we're here at the, here in line at the, did I mention the drive-thru? Drive-thru. Well, here we are in the drive-thru line, me and her. Cars in front of us, cars in back of us, all just waiting to order. There's some idiot in a Volvo with his brights on behind me. I lean out the window and scream, hey, don't ruin this shit for me. My wife says maybe we should park, we could just go eat inside. I said I'm so tired of you work shit. Now a woman on a speaker box is saying, can I take your order, please? I said, yes, indeed, you certainly can. We'd like 2 hamburgers with onions and cheese. Then my wife says, baby, hold on, I've changed my mind. I don't know who you are anymore. The voice on the speaker says, I don't have all day. I said, order. Oh, shit. And that's all I could say. Then she says, wait a minute. Your voice sounds so familiar. Hey, is this Paul? And my wife is all like, no, that ain't Paul. Now tell me, who's this Paul? She says, oh, he's just some guy. Mister, please, you can stop right there. That's way more than I needed to know. And we both were quiet, and things got real intense. One new next window, please tell me $5.82. So we inched ahead in line, moving painfully slow. I got a little bored, so I turned on the radio.
This is Peter Griffin, and you're listening to Book Talk on WRNI. Today we'll be discussing Bret Easton Ellis's popular work Less Than Zero, a tale of privilege, detachment, and youthful alienation. But first, a word from our sponsor, Weston's Golden Soda Biscuits. I'm enjoying one right now.
Click, turned it off because my wife was getting a headache. So we both just sat there quietly for her headache. Well, then I looked at her, and she looked back at me, and I said, yeah, but hey, you know, don't sweat it. I said, I'm sweaty, but don't worry, it's probably just the drive-thru. Now we're at the pay window, or whatever you call it. Put my hand in my pocket, I can't believe there's no wallet. And the lady at the window's like, well, 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 that'll be $5.82. I turn around to my wife and say, I love this drive-through. She just rolls her eyes, so she reaches into her purse and busts out the 7 o'clock. Shit, it's gotta be cash only. We don't take street credit here. I took back the card and said, gee, really? Well, that sucks. And that's when I found out my wife was only carrying $3. Just help me to find some change. Now the lady at the window's looking at me kind of strange. I said, now hold your fucking horses, lady, we won't be long. I found a nickel in an ashtray and a couple pennies and a dime in the space between the seats. Before long I had a little pile of shit. And now my woman's got this weird look frozen on her face. She screams, you know, I wasn't even really hungry in the first place. Shrug, forget the chicken sandwich then. So I pick up my change, pick up my seat, and I drive to the pickup window. Man, I just can't wait to eat. Well, he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him. Well, he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and I look at him, and he looks at me. And he says, I'm sorry. What did you want again? Oh, yeah, that's right. Ketchup. And then he hands me the ketchup. I'm sorry. What did you want again?